fellas. I know it seems bad, but we're not here to cause trouble.
We're not?
Hi guys, I'm Amelia Emberwing, and I'm here at San Diego Comic-Con with the incredible team of Vox Machina. Hi guys. Hey.
That's us.
We've still got so much time before season 3 finally hits our screens, so we're gonna start with like a nice, easy warm-up. Everybody, how would you describe season 3 in one word?
Traumatizing.
That's a good one.
That's pretty valid, actually.
Brutal.
Heavy.
Fun.
Yeah.
Just trying to bring up the mood a little bit.
Uplifting.
Ships.
Oh, that's the one.
Chips?
Going.
Chips.
Chips. Definitely chips.
Chips. It's over to say chips. Which is just like the ideal scenario, right? You get a little snack, you get some other little snacks, you know, everybody's happy.
Yes.
Apologies.
So we now know that we're going to get Mighty Nein in animation as well. What did you guys take from the first 3 seasons of Vox Machina into the first season of Mighty Nein? What lessons did you learn?
Oh, wow.
I think the biggest thing was a different approach. We want it to be a separate series, not a continuation of the Vox Machina story. It's certainly in the same world, but those characters are so dear to us for an entirely different list of reasons than Vox Machina. I think the thing that we can say that's not a huge spoiler is that with the Legend of Vox Machina, all the characters started together and they're immediately, going into the world, starting their adventures. With Mighty Nein, we're going to be starting more from a session 0 type place. So you'll get to see them as individuals and finding their way together in the world. Since we're making it bigger and crazier and all sorts of stuff. But we are taking everything from the Legend of Vox Machina and just turning it up to 10 across the board.
Yeah,
Love
it's
it.
a whole other vibe. It feels more expansive to me. I don't think that gives anything away.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I would agree.
Ooh, your magic is so powerful.
I don't have magic.
It must be so hard, like, having these conversations, because obviously critters, like, know what's coming, but then you don't want to spoil it for the people who don't know it's coming. Like, it must be such a dance.
It is definitely kind of its own unique dance. What's also exciting is because we get to revisit these stories, we get to tell and show facets of the narrative that we're kind of going on outside of the Mighty Nein's experience, kind of how we're able to explore that with Vox Machina in this series, which means there's going to be a lot of things that are very fresh, even for the people that are very familiar with the campaign it's based on. There's a lot of really cool little tidbits we get to now add to the world and flesh it out now that we get to revisit it in animation.
Yeah, hardcore fans are still in for some surprises. That's
I
for
think
sure.
It's so much cooler and cooler than they think it's going to be. It's just so.
Yeah. Well, even in our campaigns, it's also focused from the perspective of our group, of our immediate heroes. But I think Mighty Nein is really cool because you get to start to see other perspectives. The world is still spinning beyond just the Mighty Nein. And so, yeah, it's cool. Cool to see.
We're all very, very excited. Returning to Vox Machina and keeping with the ominous tone, but also talking about ships and chips. I was prepared. We were talking ships. But ships, but also pairings. So we have groups that, sort of go off together and have their own little adventures. So Laura, I'm going to start with you. The overarching question for all of these pairings that I'm about to rattle off is, how is the pairing challenge? So let's start with Vex and Percy.
How is it challenged?
Challenge. Like what hurdles are you going to meet?
Listen. There's so much, and I can't give it away. To say the challenges would be to reveal so much, So I'm just gonna say it's hot. Okay, that's it.
Good answer.
That's a good answer. That is, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's
It is though. It's not
your
like I'm.
answer from the very beginning.
Yeah, just make it hot.
Audiences are ready, but, speaking of everybody's favorite slow burn, let's talk about Kiki and Vex. Vex.
Still happens to this day.
But every time I'm like,
So do we. 10
Let's
years.
talk about Kiki and Vex, darling.
We truly are like the Jim and Pam of our world. It's like Are they going to get together? Are they not? Not this season.
You said it. You said it best at the table years ago. Our whole relationship is psychic damage.
Oh.
It is. Yeah. 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 I mean, they have their moments. They make progress. It's all gonna be fine. It's all gonna be fine. Nothing bad will ever happen to them ever again, and they live happily ever after.
We are just aiming for that end game happy ending down the road.
Every time I watch the new opening credits, because they're my ship. Of course, they're my ship. They're everybody's ship.
Hey, listen.
I love you.
What?
They're hot. She
They're
already
hot.
said it. They're hot.
They're just, you know. But every time those stupid feathers fall, and then you see Kiki by herself, I'm like, no. No. I reject this. Moving on to everybody's favorite siblings. How are Vex and Vax going to be challenged? I can't screw it up when it's both of them because you don't know which one I meant
You say
first.
that, but I've screwed it up many times.
There's a lot of good twin stuff in
Yeah.
this season coming up. And we don't want to spoil it.
I know. I don't want to spoil it, but it is hard, when you have one relationship that's blossoming and one that is, fighting to find time. So there's tension there.
You're also going to see them really depend on each other, lean on each other in a really cool way this season.
Ashley, you get paired in two, so you're going to be in the hot seat now.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, wow. Okay.
Two, Mike. There you go.
There, both of them. Let's start with Pike and Scanlan.
Yes. Ooh. Okay. Boy, that is the who. Yeah, a lot of there's things that happen and things that don't. I've done this many times. I'm really good at this. No, I think they're relation. They don't have a relationship.
They do.
They do.
All of you have relationships.
They do.
So lie.
Not like not
No
romantic-
chips happening just yet.
Yeah, no chips happening just yet. But yeah, their friendship, relationship, whatever it is that they have, does sort of get a little challenged.
How though?
And
Inquiring minds want to know.
But-
Laura and I would like to know.
yes, but I will say that does it. It will bring them closer in a way.
So maybe this one will be easier.
Okay.
Let's talk about everybody's favorite besties.
Yes.
Pike and Grog.
Best of somebody.
But nobody wants to talk about Grog ships because he's like Joey from Friends.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
just like the only one not hooked up
It's
at the
Grog.
end. I just got to stay a free agent. Too much love to go around.
He still hasn't gotten over Craven Edge. It's hard.
Yeah,
That's
that's
True.
true.
Buddies, don't do this. Who are you gonna listen to, huh? That sword? Or me?
But they're still the best of buddies. And they're even, but they just over time they become even better buddies. I mean, they're like siblings, and
Right.
they become they're like adopted, found family for each other.
100%. Yeah. And we'll get a little bit more from, there was a lot of Grog's backstory in season 2. We get a lot more Pike stuff in season 3, which is great,
Yes.
which obviously involves Grog and, trials and tribulations will commence.
Oh, I like it.
Going to you guys as creators versus your specific characters, was there or has there been, or do you think will there be, a scene that hit you even harder when you saw it animated versus when you were recording it for the first time?
I'll let y'all talk.
I mean, there's definitely some scenes in this season where, we were doing our group records and we were like bawling our eyes out.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some scenes, and you always know going in, especially like when you do the table read and you're like, this one's going to be emotional. I'm going to need a nap after this one. But then getting in there and recording it, and it's just like, some heart-wrenching moments.
Yeah. I think if anything, like when we record it, that's one level of, wow, it's so cool where we've been able to take this and where it's been able to grow. But then when we do get to see it animated, it's a whole other level. I mean, even when we're recording the scenes and we're like, wow, that's a great scene, powerful scene. But then seeing it, how it's animated and how they that is a whole nother level of cool and amazing.
Also, just seeing the locations that we go to always is so mind-opening. So I don't want to spoil anything, but we're going places.
Yeah,
I know it's hard without spoiling anything, but yeah, there were definitely scenes in this season that hit very hard, and watching them, I was still emotional. Like every single time, get emotional reliving that moment.
And even like even just beyond like the emotional bits, there are like combat centerpieces and action sequences that I remember playing the game and seeing it in my imagination and being like, man, this is so cool in my head. And then getting to see it fully finished, and it's so much cooler and so much more exciting and like, oh, than I could have ever hoped for. And that made me emotional. Like I remember we watched one of the episodes recently, and I remember like tears watching this cool fight scene. I'm like, oh, that's normal, right? So yeah, it's really cool. Yeah.
Travis, why were you being coy down there? What secrets do you have?
Oh, I mean, we Sam and I help see the episodes through every iteration, so we've watched every episode probably about 56 times each. But to their points, Neil A. Cree is our composer. When his music gets added, when the team at Titmouse does their thing and runs it through comps and effects and all that stuff, and the special effects come in, we get a 5-1 mix going. It's just nuts to see, at least for me, an animated series that encompasses this amazing group of friends that are trying to do good in the world, but they're also going up against titanic foes. The Chroma Conclave is still out there. There are other enemies that are just waiting in the wings. And I think what we can say about season 3 is that nothing is going to be the same for Vox Machina after this season. It's going to leave them irreparably changed. And it's going to leave a stamp on each and every one of them. But, it's gone from our living room table to this, and it's amazing to see the fan excitement and the reaction to it. So that's what I guess that's the cherry on the sundae that we're waiting for in the end, is just getting to see people love it and get I think, excitement and enjoyment out of it in the same way that we have.
Looking at season 2, so much of it for every character just felt very tied to growth. What would you say the narrative through line for season 3 is for our heroes?
Change?
Yeah, change, adaptation. You can obviously Vox Machina grew very close in season 2, but it doesn't mean that there aren't outside stressors in the world that can challenge that. So I think they're really kind of tested in that way. So everything that we established in the first 2 seasons, it's like, okay, now let's see how we really react under pressure.
Speaking of change, so that's a great lead into my next question. We have the original campaign, like we were talking about the difficulties of all of the critters knowing what's coming, etc. Was there ever anything that you looked at from the original campaign and went, no, we're going to change this for the animated series? Like there's something else that we want to explore here in a different way?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's the original campaign will always be there and always be its wonderful sacred experience at the table. And a lot of it is magical. A lot of it is us just messing around, In this space, we're allowed to go back and revisit it and see what things we can goose, what things we can be like, oh, it would have been more interesting here if this happened. Or for the instance, you didn't have Ashley Johnson for parts of campaign 1 because she was having to film elsewhere. So now we have the opportunity to bring more Pike into these places where she wasn't present in the campaign. We get to explore facets of the world we couldn't in the campaign, and we get to find fun and unique ways to kind of surprise ourselves, let alone the people that were there from the beginning, and make it just that much more special and unique. So it's still a very faithful adaptation.
Yeah.
But better.
Yeah.
It's like the difference between teleporting inside a giant dragon and flying up its ass.
Two key differences. Oh God. So you were talking earlier about, there are sometimes those lines that you record and you're just like bawling. Given season 3's darker tone, did any of you have difficulty weaving in the team's trademark shenanigans as things are getting harder and harder in the world?
No.
Nah. What's great is we're all a bunch of idiots, and you get us in a room together and that doesn't change. So Yeah.
Just as common as us crying on mic is us unable to proceed with the take because for some reason we just keep breaking over and over again. There's something in the room.
But I think that's good, right? You need that balance just as in life. I love nothing more when like you're going through a hard time or a tragic time and then someone cracks a joke, because that's how you like take control of the situation. You bring levity to it, So I think and that just hits even harder in the season.
So we've got to wrap things up here. So I'm going to close it out with one final question. Do feel free to keep it vague. The question is vague on purpose. Deaths are unavoidable in a D&D campaign. They are notorious. We have made it this far without losing any of our heroes. Is season 3 finally going to be the one where we suffer a tragic loss?
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
I think I could say anything can happen. One of the through lines I think for this season is consequences. I think you just have to watch. Plus, with a D&D campaign and certainly with our show, anything can happen. And as Matt mentioned, we are always looking to plus up and revise things, that know the Vox Machina campaign. We want to surprise them. We want to make them understand that the story that they know is valuable, but we want to incentivize them to come back because things might have changed a little bit or been tweaked. One of the beauties of these ongoing campaigns is even as we play week in and week out, we have the ability, because it's just us making it, to go back and change things from campaign 1, campaign 2, and make it a little bit more spicy. And so we've certainly done that.
I do not like the 2 times that you've used the word consequences today. That was noted. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. For everybody at home, you can finally catch season 3 of Vox Machina on October 3rd and stick with us throughout the rest of the weekend for more San Diego Comic-Con news from IGN.